So if you want to share this, you can. Um, welcome to another exciting episode of Passing on the Mantle with Pastor Andina. We are here in the lounge edition with our married couples. I'm going to start off with the Carpenters, Mr. and Mrs. Marshall and Sheila Carpenter, and also Mr. and Mrs. Timothy and Tamara Grimsley. Listen, the topic of tonight is do you trust your spouse? Period. Do you trust your spouse? I cannot tell you all how I've watched you all's marriages and from different parts and different places. And, it's been so exciting to me that know that we are on this movement, my community and I, 100 powerful Black marriage, Black love all day. And so if we do not find those marriages and those examples of what a good marriage looks like, then this next generation is going to be lost. And pretty much, we already have issues with people trying to understand what is commitment, what's not. I had someone tell me yesterday, well, marriage is just a piece of paper. People make too much about it. Listen, so not the truth. So because of all of this, me just in encountering people who are in adulterous, situations, either they are the side chick or the something or other, and things that churchmen and non-churchmen, but because we are, believers, we know that the divorce rate and the adultery rate is just as bad as it is in the world. So let's come together and let's talk about it. Get this on the table and help somebody.
Absolutely.
I don't believe that people wake up in the morning and just say, hey, I'm just going to commit the adultery today. So just dealing with trust issues. So we're going to deal with, the Bible says man should not be alone. Now, that part of man talks about humanity, men and women. All right. So there is a stage in your life where you have encountered other people, you have dated, until the point where you decided you want to get married. Right. Trust has been such an issue where people have been broken in so many ways, whether it was man to woman, woman to man, girlfriend to girlfriend, friend to friend. How do you walk in the place where you know that you are broken and the person that broke you? How do you begin to heal from that in dealing with your relationships? So this is an open forum. Whoever wants to start off first. So what I would like to do, the Carpenters, you all can introduce yourself, give yourself a little background for the people, and let them know that you definitely are someone that has wisdom in this area and share amongst the people.
Okay. Carpenters.
All right. So let's say hi. We are Elders Marshall and Sheila Carpenter. We're based here in St. Albans, Queens, New York, and I have been married for 30 years. This past to God be the glory.
Yes,
we met in high school as a part of a gospel choir. And I remember the day Marshall walked through the door, room 181 of Flushing High School.
Come on.
Honey, that's a memory right there. That's a memory. I can't remember what I ate yesterday. Forget about it.
That's right. 181.
Right.
181. I remember the day he walked through the door. And not because I was so enamored or thinking that he was going to be the one for me, but I didn't realize what it was that God was doing at the time. Now, in retrospect, when I think about it, I realized why it was such a special time. Because I've met a lot of people over the years of my life, but I can remember the day he walked through the door. And it's amazing to me. And I realize now that the Lord was showing me then, that this is someone who is going to be special. Anytime I think about it, I think about what Mary must have felt when she felt that quickening in her belly. You know what I mean? It was that serious. So I'm real grateful to God that he's allowed us to, not only be married for 30 years, but we were together 7 years prior to that, just dating. And when I say dating, really just dating honorably before God. And prior to that, like I said, we were in high school together. So, but you were talking about trust. I was just setting it up to give a.
Well, no, I want you all to introduce yourself. I want the Grimleys to introduce themselves.
Okay, good. So there's that. Once you want to say.
Well, it was something with like that, like with that one day because I remember a friend of mine dragging me up the street. And literally, it was something where I was like, I don't want to walk into this room. I don't want to go. You can't make me. But he literally forced me up the block, up 2 flights of steps into this room. And just picture that. If I never went inside that room, I would never had met Sheila.
Wow.
So
Wow.
God's and God just saying, Marshall, you have to go in there because your destiny awaits.
That's all right.
That's good.
That's all right.
That's wisdom. That's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go on down to the Grimleys.
Yes, thank you. First of all, that was very inspiring. I want you to keep going. Like,
Right?
it sounds like the movie. Like, wow. 181 for some reason is sticking in my head. Right.
We gotta look that up. What does that mean?
Thank you, Pastor, for allowing us to be a part of this.
Yes.
It's an honor,
Yes.
honestly, to be a part of this. And we're praying for you and your vision
Thank
that
you.
God has given you because it's needed. And the Carpenters, we never met you, but we're spirit, kindred, spirit in the kingdom. So we love you too with the love of Christ. Well, my name is Timothy. This is my beautiful wife, Tamara. It's interesting you said that because our beginning is kind of opposite. And I'm married 30 years plus 7, which is phenomenal. My wife and I, we've been married. We've been married, blessed, for 4 years. But prior to that, we were best friends for 10, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally married my best friend, right?
Nice.
So long story short, I had no idea. It's amazing. It's funny that you said that, the Carpenters, how you didn't know you had to be drugged, how God strategically just planted you there. It was the same with us because I had no idea that my best friend was going to wind up being my wife. But I don't regret it. I thank God for it. We had a unique best friend relationship. And it's funny, the topic is talking about trust.
Yes.
We already planted trust before we even got married. So it was kind of, we just build on it. It kind of spring forth into the marriage. So we reside in New Jersey, currently in East Orange, New Jersey. We are certified life coaches with a specialty of relationship, licensed ministers. We work in ministry. I'm a PK. My wife is an evangelist. Like we know the whole gamut with church, but we were looking for something different beyond the 4 walls in terms of fulfilling our purpose. And we started about 3 years ago. We started a movement, a ministry called Heart and Soul with Tim and Tamara. And it's just been growing, and God has been blessing us to be a part of it.
Yes.
I mean, we've reached people that were saved, unsaved, Muslim couples, Italian couples. Our underlying theme is our ministry. It's ministry, but at the end of the day, we're trying to help couples understand the value, the institution of marriage, because we know that society has devalued what God has intended. So we just playing our small part in this platform that God has given us, and we're blessed. We're blessed. Baby, you want to share?
All right. Thanks, babe. God bless you, everybody. While we were preparing, I was trying to print out my notes and everything. So excuse me while I have my head down. I'm trying to get us on Facebook, on my phone. But at the same time, I had this adrenaline going. I'm really excited because I love to first talk about God. I love to talk about our experiences to help other people.
Yes.
So yes, like he said, we started out as best friends.
Yeah.
He claimed he didn't want me in that way.
I didn't.
He said, I mean,
My husband. I'm like,
he really was not trying to look at me. And
I was trying to live right and saved and holy, man.
He literally said that.
I was
crushed. I was crushed.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I was like, what? But anyway, I tell you, Tim has been such a good friend. And we both were married before.
Right.
So we have some experience. Sometimes you may not have the experience with that same person.
right.
You know, because sometimes people say, I don't need to hear from you. You only been married 4 or 5 years, you know, but I
don't know what life experience brings.
Say it again, Pastor.
You never know what life experience brings.
That's right. That's right. You know, and so we just take all of our life experiences to help many people, whether they're married or not.
Right.
And so we're here to keep it real, to really try to help somebody with our story.
Yeah.
Because I did not always trust.
Right.
We'll get into that.
So let's do this. Okay, ladies. You know, we often hear how we cannot trust our sisterhood.
Mm-hmm.
I just had this conversation.
Well, see, and actually, this topic came out of a conversation that I had with a girlfriend of mine who was having a conversation with a business associate of hers, and who was a man, and he said some things to her about like, you have trust issues, you don't, So when she and I were talking, she was like, well, do I really? I said, no, really, the situation that happened caused her to respond the way she did legitimately.
Exactly.
But the fact that he did not want to own up to a lot of the things in the business, he tried to defer and deflect it on her.
Right.
So while, she's a thinker, she's a thinker. So she's trying to dissect all this stuff. So then she winds up having a conversation with her husband. And similar, the same thing happens. And instead of him taking responsibility for the situation, he just decides like, it's all your fault. Like he's always right.
Wow.
So we began to talk about how, why is it that we have so much problems and issues when it comes to trust? So then she started, well, was it my childhood? You came from a family where, your father was a preacher and everything. And then the marriage didn't, the marriage fell apart. They divorced and so forth. So do you believe that the trust factor still is residue in a lot of lives, especially when it comes down to whomever? So if it was a woman-to-woman relationship, friendship, girlfriend, sister, or biological sisters or whatever, and that trust is broken, how do you deal and navigate with those persons that broke you?
You want to?
Whoever.
Sure. You want me to jump in first? So, when Marsh told me what the theme was of trust, immediately, and you try to like, okay, don't try and sound so super spiritual, but I have to. I'm not going to make any apologies for doing it because my go-to has always been the Word of God. It always. So immediately, of course, it came to me, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not to your own understanding, all your ways. He will direct your path. And so I was thinking, and I started looking up, different things about trust and relationships. And, I started to look at our relationship, and I'm saying this, and it's not I'm not trying to sound like it's
be free, honey.
Super being very honest. Trust has never, ever been an issue. And when I say that, I really believe it's because there has, from the very beginning of our beginnings, we were, as you guys said, you were friends. We were genuinely friends. Shared. So much of our lives were in sync with each other. We're both ministers of music. So that drove us. And we were literally together for so much of our time. You know what I mean? I don't know when there could have been any time for us to do
That's what I'm saying. I never know. And I remember when you guys were single. I remember when y'all, when I started working with you all, he was like, but there was never a time it wasn't a Marshall and a Sheila. It was
together.
It's like peanut butter and jelly.
Inseparable, right?
Because of that, I really believe, because there was so much in common that we did in terms of things that we were interested in, the things that we found, our friends were the same friends, we were totally committed to, gospel music, and that drove us. That was, really like a lifeline, So there was so much that we did together that didn't leave really room for any situations that would give us for not trusting. But I will say this, because we were friends for such a long time, we did watch each other date other people. So we were in each other's lives. When we saw the other someone, and it's so funny. I think about when we were teenagers, and I remember what was odd about when I was dating someone else, Marshall's dissatisfaction with this person. Now, we were friends, but he was out. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you dating?
Right.
Like, why are you with him?
Yeah, like, what's going on?
Why are you with him?
Because he knew the quality of woman you was.
You know,
But the funny thing is that you can actually talk to him about somebody else that you're dating.
Exactly, yo. Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
Really,
not only that you're giving him ammunition.
Hmm.
right. We have been together for so long. Just like she had said, we knew each other's past boyfriends, girlfriends. Now, mind you, Sheila is a singer who has sung all over the
world.
Wow.
went on tour with Don't Get Started for what, 2 years?
Right.
And everybody's worried about me. It's like,
Yep.
Marshall,
She's not
what are
here.
you gonna? I'm not gonna do nothing.
Right.
I know that's right.
Because-
Because that was there.
And my heart lied with her.
Yeah.
So therefore, there was really nobody else for me. You know,
Right.
my circle is like very small. You know, so everybody always kept an eye out on me. Her nieces saw me with like somebody one time, and they had a fit
Wow.
because
Wow.
gosh, Marsha's gonna leave Sheila. I'm not leaving Sheila
No, man.
Sheila
No.
forever.
Yeah.
So you know, so God really prepared us for that point at that a time.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, I mean, look, when you're about your friend who was having trust issues with her mate, I would say, you know, let's start from the beginning, and because I really believe that it is the spouse's responsibility to alleviate any questionable trust issues. That means if
you're coming into the relationship already with trust issues, you know,
that's you got,
right.
that's why I say go to the beginning. I'm gonna let our friends join in, but I would say you got to go to the beginning, because if you're coming into the relationship with trust issues, you got to start. You got to start there before.
I mean, but I'll do even one better. Like, you married the person that you don't trust.
Wow. Wow. That's
a whole nother.
I cannot tell you how many people marry the person they don't trust.
That's true.
That I don't understand.
You know, to piggyback off what's just said, and what came to my mind, there's a quote I remember reading one day. It said, if you don't heal what broke you, you'll bleed out on the ones who love you.
Wow.
If you don't heal what broke you, you'll bleed out on the ones that love you. What's that pretty much saying? If you walk into a marriage with trust issues and bombarded, if you don't heal that or take care of that and get the proper healing and deliverance you need, you bring in that into the person that's potential for you. So you got to go back to the core of what happened. You can't just sweep it under the rug. And me and my wife, we talk about that all the time. You know, everyone has brokenness or been hurt, but you got to be able to elevate to a point where you don't contaminate your future happiness.
Right.
Yeah. And I can say that even though we knew each other, it was all, we were like, you got Tim and I'm glad you guys mentioned that you're kind of like inseparable, because sometimes I'm like, is that a problem with us? Is something wrong with us? You know, because sometimes people look at us strange, like y'all should do something apart. We're always together. And it's not nothing forced. It's just we enjoy one another. I like him and he likes me.
Yeah, that's
right.
However, I'm great. So I'm glad you guys mentioned that, because sometimes people will make you think that
there's something wrong with you for crazy
or something
not natural.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is, Tim and I definitely went into the relationship trusting one another. And it's funny though, because as time went on, well, actually, it was right before we got married when this situation. Okay, right before we got married, so something happened that you guys, I really didn't know it was even inside me. I'm like, oh, I trust, I'm healed, and and I'm thinking, especially when you think you a preacher and you got it, you telling everybody else, let Jesus heal you, let Jesus fix your heart, and so we had a situation, and I happened to I was nosy and I went through his phone. Sorry, I did.
Nosy.
Let me be honest.
Uh-oh.
I went through his phone. And just being nosy, I really wasn't looking for anything, you guys. Wasn't nothing wrong with his phone, guys. It's just that I noticed, and he didn't do anything wrong. I just didn't like how the woman was. I mean, I don't know. It was just something about her. And so I called him, questioning him while he was driving to Georgia with his family. And he was like, I can't believe you called me with this. And guys, I was so upset. And he was like, you have trust issues. And I was like, no, I don't. And
because that was the trigger, right?
Say it again.
That was the trigger.
That was a trigger, yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? He told me, I can't marry you like this. Like, he kept it very straight with me. And guys, I went to go get me some help. I went to go get help because I wanted to make sure none of my past was coming to something what God was doing for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I found myself a couple of times picking up the phone. Surely I'm going to find something. Oh, I'm going to find something. Yep. I'm going to find. Let me go in the inbox. Oh, can't see nothing there. Why do you like that girl picture? And it made him so uncomfortable. And for the life of me, I couldn't find anything. I went to go get help. Elder and all, let me tell y'all, as long as I've been saved, I took myself to counseling because I knew this was a good man and I needed healing, and I have received help. Right. And I wanted to I know I speak to a lot of women, and a lot of them are not really ready to give that up. Mm-hmm. And I knew the trust issues, it had nothing to do with what he did. It was something within me and my insecurities. Why do I feel like, and when I did that, it brought me so much I was uncomfortable. It brought me stress. Yeah. I'm serious, guys. Going through somebody's phone, thinking you're going to find something. You're also worried. You have this
anxiety
that takes over you. Yeah. And it just doesn't bring you peace. Nah. It causes you to argue with your spouse, the distrust there, so that was definitely a moment in my life where I know I had to fix and really get some help because I didn't know it was there, you guys. I didn't. Yeah. And I'm
going on just in general, because you have a lot of people that, like you said, that was like a trigger for you. So somewhere along the line, there was a seed planted that, that at this particular moment, now it's become a big old tree. And now something, fruit is bearing on the tree. Right. And you had to, I applaud you for going to therapy.
Yeah, I did it.
You feel going to therapy, something is wrong with getting additional help outside of the Bible.
That's right.
And if you apply the Bible, then you would not need additional help.
Right.
So let's stop medicating the Bible and let's get some serious intensive human therapy to help you get past the situation that you're in. Because if you keep on, these are habit forming behaviors. And you want to know why you can't keep a relationship.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just.
No, that's good.
No, spot on. Yeah. Because a lot of,
I can tell you, someone right now, young girl, who 36 years old, has been in a 2-year relationship with a married man who goes to a very prominent church here in New York. And I'm like, she was mixed with trying to figure out what this whole church salvation thing is, yet figuring out, like, if you're supposed to be one of the overseers in the church, like, how are you sleeping with me?
Right.
And so now the other day I get a text saying, this is a screenshot, I'm ending it. The guy was like, well, deuces, and amen.
Really?
That's what he said. Yeah. And so I said, hey, all right, now that's your response, you can't get angry because he presented himself to who he was when he sat at the table.
True.
Right.
True.
Now you're mad because you didn't get the response that you wanted.
That's right.
But at the core of it all, you thought your word was enough to be a side chick for 2 years in a relationship that you knew this man was married.
Wow.
That's right.
Now don't start talking about how all men, because all men are not.
gonna lump them together.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's
So these are the type of things that create that brokenness,
right.
and create
Right.
these triggers in people to cause you not to trust. So when you talk about, oh, you threw a good man away, you probably did because of exactly what you did,
Yeah.
and because of exactly that you felt that you didn't need help.
Right.
And all you did was exchange the person and their name, but the behavior was still the same.
That's
good.
right.
That's good.
Right.
Because every
Right.
lack of trust doesn't come from infidelity.
Right.
Like you said, they come into the relationship with it sometimes. It has
And
nothing to do
you
with
need to look at that and look at yourself too. Like, okay, if he doesn't come home exactly at 6 o'clock, it was traffic.
Something ain't right.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Hello.
When you start have to monitor, like, okay, so I'm on my second marriage, right?
Mhm.
2021, we'll be married 10 years.
All right.
My husband is very
I love her husband. He's so cool.
yeah, Tamara, you see my husband, right? Okay, so very friendly. He can be the key guy when he wants to, whatever.
Yeah.
That's me.
He had a lot of women friends. I came into the picture and I'm like, yo, I don't care. You were friends before I met.
Right.
That's right.
You were friends after you leave.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
oh, well, you know, we can't talk to each other because of your wife.
Hmm.
You know, and I tell my husband, "Look, y'all want to go to lunch? Bye. Because I got something to do too.
Hmm.
You know, and believe it or not, he and I are together more than we are apart. But
Right.
it almost seems like, you know, people have this perception of, oh, she don't play that. Well, no, I don't. But in the same token, I don't have to monitor a grown man.
Right. Exactly. Pat.
I don't have to police
Comfortable.
my husband's behavior
Energy.
because he's grown.
Right.
If you want to have some fun, that may help my life.
Right.
You know, but I trust him. And when we met, I was like, I don't necessarily trust you in humanity because we all fall.
Yeah, we've been there.
I trust the God in you.
In you.
And that's what I trust.
That's good
Right.
advice.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And that's advice I give a lot of women. I have one girlfriend where she really feels sweetest relationship, beautiful, but I tell you, he can't hang with certain friends. He has to say certain things on social media. Her trust with him, it's really, really bad. And I said, sis, if you could just get in God, I said, because, you know, at the end of the day, I don't put my trust in Tim.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, God forbid, let's say he have a human moment.
Yep.
Okay, God, I trust the Lord that he would, and he trusts God that I would. But let's adventure, he sins. All right. And something like that happened. I never want to get to a point where I lose it and I break. I would rather it be, I cry out to God and say, God, you know what? Just help me through this.
Yeah.
You know what? People are having nervous breakdowns. They're taking pills. They start drinking. They start revengeful. I never want to be out of sort with God where I'm revengeful and now I'm cheating. Now I'm committing adultery.
Right.
No, we got to be so rooted in God that God forbid. I'm not saying it's not going to hurt. I'm not going to say you're not going to have sleepless nights. You're going to be very disappointed. You know, but I just feel like I had to make a decision because I found myself doing that too much, you guys, and it was very, very uncomfortable. I said, God, I don't want this. One day I threw his phone. It was the middle of the night. I said, I'm not doing that. This man gave me no reason. Asleep. Yes, and it was something in me. So there was a disconnect from me and God.
Right.
But when I'm in God the way I should be, and I'm rooted and grounded in God, Tim, I can't allow it to consume me.
Right,
You understand what I'm trying to say? Because who knows? I have friends who their husbands or wives did cheat on them, and they lost their minds.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
That's why we can't get caught up in this.
Say what, Sheila?
You know what? I'm sorry. I was just thinking.
Well, turn your mic up.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. The culture in which we're living in today has it such that you know, you the TV, you can't look at anything without seeing something crazy.
Yep.
Starts to cheat or some behavior that really you know, is so questionable. And I mean, listen, I know I had a friend who used to say, look, when he saw, he's married. It's like when he see a beautiful woman, he look and say, "Good job, God." You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with that. Same thing if you see a nice looking man, it's like, that's
Right.
all right. You didn't make
Right.
mistakes right there, but you know that's something good. But I think that it's okay to be all right with what God's creation is. You know what I mean? There is nothing wrong saying that, you know, somebody is beautiful or something or some person is beautiful. They have a beautiful personality, a beautiful behavior without lusting. It's the lust factor.
That's
like,
right.
Your heart not committed to what you have already stood before God and said, you know, for better or for worse, rich or poor. If you don't take those vows seriously before God, that's when your heart starts to wander. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't distract it by, I mean, people can't. First of all, you see all kinds of foolishness on buses, and I mean, you can't walk outside your door or look at your telephone without this coming up on the phone. You know what I'm saying? But if you're not rooted in, if you have not taken what you have said to God seriously, if you're not, that just to me says you were not ready. You just weren't ready. Because, and what I'm going to go back to what I was saying at the very beginning. I believe that it's the partner that in every relationship, it's the partner who you have decided that you are going to be committed to. It's your responsibility to each other to make sure that you have, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. I remember when Marshall had proposed to me, I said to him, I was like, I want you to be sure that you really want to marry me. Because when I say, death, that's for real.
That's serious right there. Yeah.
Page. I don't have time to be thinking and worrying and you know, wondering. That's not in my DNA. No. And I know it's not in yours. Not in yours. So we want to make sure that this is what we are committing to. Because we don't have no time to pay many things that we gotta really do. You know what I mean? And when people have these kinds of worries, things, I believe that they are certainly tricks of the enemy. And I believe my heart is marriages, Pastor. When Marshall said us to do this, I have such a heart for God's people who commit to marriage. I believe that this is the greatest institution that God has ever created.
That's right.
When two people can get and really commit to making something work, it is magical. And when you have the same heart and same mind and same commitment, there is no stop. I believe that the sky is the limit. And, you know, trust or mistrust is a trick of the enemy. And wherever it's coming from, whether the individual or whether it's the spouse making the individual have that feeling of mistrust, it is a trick of the enemy and it needs to be stopped immediately, whatever it is. So if the spouse, there has to be a commitment to say, hey, let's get to the root of this. Let's find out why. Why there is going on? What's the problem?
We live in a time where it's easy to blame than it is to accept responsibility. And this false sense of singleness for many has created a narrative to keep you from being married.
Right. That's true.
So, you know, it's, I want the perfect one. No, there is nobody perfect. It's only the perfect person for you.
Right.
Or he has to look this way. He's got to make this certain amount. And like you said, the media has played a lot of part with that as well, because there are false senses of written wealth that we are still, as a church body, we watching all of that stuff and it's all into our mind. And now you talk about you can't get into the dating community and the dating pool because because he don't make enough, and just because he works for the post office, he don't have enough money. What are you bringing to the table?
I hear it too. I hear it all the time.
You know, seriously. So, but you don't even, you know, trust comes in many ways. You can lie and break your trust. You can steal and break your trust. You can do unethical things and break people's trust. You can, just it's all everything. So how you adapt to it, how you learn it, and how you decipher it on where you are with your own integral trust
Right, within
is
yourself.
what I believe you bring even when you're dating.
Right,
Yes.
that's true.
I waited for my husband to ask me to marry him 3 times because I was like, you ain't ready for all this. You just don't. I know.
Right.
Because there's a lot there.
I was like, I know me.
Mhm.
I was like, I gotta wait, make sure, because he was a widower with 5 kids. I'm like,
Oh, I know that's right. You knew your limits, right? You knew.
I was praying myself like, oh God, like
Right. Wow.
I don't know, I'm gonna do that, So
Oh, girl.
boys,
Basketball. He got a starting 5.
boys,
Basketball team.
boys,
Okay.
boys.
Yeah.
Right.
God bless you.
And so I was like, yo, like.
But I will just add to that, communication is key. Making sure that you are communicating clearly, having because sometimes people just don't really know the person that they've married, or they really tapped into, the trust situation. Sometimes it's not until later on, they've gotten into, because I've had, we have friends whose marriages haven't worked, and we've gone in and tried to counsel them, talk them out of it. I mean, literally up to the point of them going, signing papers. We go, Marsha and I would go and minister to people and pray with them, and read them scriptures and saying, look, let's give it another try, and they feel like they've gone as far as they can. So we've been there, and it's been hurtful,
Right.
These relationships not. But go ahead, bro. I'll let you.
You mentioned Pastor said something about. I can relate to what you're saying. Well, I don't have 5 kids, but it's another side of trust too, because you was mentioning different components of trust. I had to trust my wife. Before I got married, I was a single parent, and I custody my daughter, 2 beautiful girls. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, God, whoever you give me, I want her to have the mother traits. That's important. And I was holding it down, but it's certain things I couldn't teach my daughter. The way God got to orchestrate certain things, the father can't teach the daughter, vice versa. Certain things,
that's right,
mom can't teach the son. So I was praying, God, give me someone. So when they met her, they immediately fell in love with her. So I had to, when I got married, I had to trust that she would be that mother to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if she was chastising them in the bedroom, or I couldn't just go in there and be like,
right.
You're saying the other side of trust,
right?
I got a question after this.
Yes,
so I had to remember, Tim, trust her. Like you don't have to intervene in every.
It was a couple of times he gave me this look like, I think you yelling too loud.
Right. Like I'm the soft one, but I had to.
I'm more of a disciplinarian than my husband is. I'm
right. So I had to trust that she knew what was best. So my question is, speaking that you thought about, if someone, what advice, the Marshalls or Pastor, what advice would you give someone who's a single parent and they're looking for that mate? How is it hard? Sometimes it's hard and challenging for them to relinquish or share that responsibility. What advice would you give to them in terms of building an authentic parental trust? I'm just curious.
Listen, they've been married 30 years. They got more to say than I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, everything starts with prayer.
Okay.
Ask God to really show you that person, and then fast and saying, God, is this the person? Is that and then God always gives you a confirmation through something that the person does.
Okay.
And then you will definitely know. Now, sometimes you may not like certain things, but if God gave that person to you, then you're good.
But Brother Tim, I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
I think you're going to be able to answer your own question. What was it about Tamara that you saw? Because now I'll be honest, I couldn't even imagine having my children and then thinking about who could I bring into that relationship. Because, you know, a parent-child relationship is, you know, at the, well, for me anyway, I would assume for you as well, that's the ultimate, you know, area of protection and security. So bringing anybody into that relationship, what was it about her that, especially a dad with his girls, you know, I know my husband is with his what was it about her that made you say, I think she can do this? She can, she can.
That's
a great question. And I'm gonna let my wife finish what I'm about to say. But I grew up, I'm a PK, so I grew up in church. So I thought, you know, every saved woman was the right one. My wife was anointed. She was a directress. Like she had all, but that didn't mean, and I had to be careful. I had to decipher the two, because when you come home, you're not under the anointing. You're not always in your glory. So I was always used to, okay, if she can sing, shout, speak in tongues, and lay hands, she gonna be a good mother. And that is not the case. So when I saw her outside of ministry mode, this is very important, because every saved person don't have to be your spouse.
That's right.
The person you come across. So when I saw her out of ministry mode, when I saw her not wearing her pride caps, right?
I don't wear.
When I saw her as Tamara and not the minister, I was like, wow. Because a lot of women I was looking at, they was always in the Hikam Hashanda moment. I'm like, I don't want that if we're going to great adventures. So she had balance. She still had a standard, but she showed that motherly, nurturing, I'm down to earth. I can put the jeans on, me and the girls can go bowling, you know, stuff like that. So I started to see some things that made me say, okay, I can rock with her. Like I saw the motherly traits, and I saw how she tenderly cared, but also sternly correct and in love. And because some people don't know how to do that. So that was one of the main things. She's a giver. I mean, her heart is huge. Like she checks all the boxes, so to speak, in terms of motherly. You know, she definitely can cook, you know, but outside of her being, I wanted to see that's what made the deal, because I thought every person, every woman had this holy, you know, but I don't want that when I'm home. I'm just being honest. It's a time and place for that.
There's a time and place. Exactly.
And my wife upbringing, she don't mind me telling her this. My wife came out the foster care system, right? She went to almost 25 different foster homes. So she never really she always longed for that unit. You know, God had covered her all those first 18 years of her life. He protected her. He had his hands on her. So when I knew her story, and she had this, I know how to protect kids, like that came along with that, even out of a bad experience, right? Something positive, right? I saw that trait. So I said, wow, that makes sense. She know how to protect. She know how to listen for certain things, because she didn't get that when she was in these foster homes.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the second thing. I mean, there was so many more, but those are the two main components that made me realize, wow. You want to
now, I'm gonna come from a different perspective. What I didn't have when I first dated my first husband, I learned after my divorce. And that was to be true to who you are.
Right.
Because we can lie in dating too. We put on all the good behaviors, we put on the good presentations.
Right.
Like you say, it's the church thing, so we all go chandelier and na, you know, and all of that. But at the end of the day, if you cannot transition into other things, what conversation you're gonna have? Do you want children? Do you not want children? Who's gonna take care of the fight? There are other things, because when you're single, all you have to do is take care of yourself if you don't have any children.
Right.
So, you know, folks lie when they write a check and you know it's bad. But you're trying to say, I'm doing it in survival mode. Until I get my paycheck where I can pay this light bill. You know, we lied when we bought Gucci. We know we had no business putting it on our credit card anyway, but because we going to church or someplace else and we're looking for that mate, we're presenting that we can do more than what we can.
Right.
Right.
So now you're giving a false image to
Right.
the person that is looking at you
Mhm.
to make them believe that you're something that you're not. And at the end of the day, you struggling trying to figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And what we don't teach as a church body is authentic truth, even in dating,
That's true. That's good, Pastor.
Yes.
because then you'll never know how to be married.
That's right.
And it's not sufficient enough because she sings and he's a preacher.
No,
That's not going to build your church.
that's not enough. Yeah.
It's not. It isn't. And I remember even, my husband, after the third time he asked me, I was like, look, I cannot promise you, because by then I had already been divorced, had my son. I said, number one, I can't promise you that I don't want any more children. I don't know. But
Right.
you got 5 kids. Well, in my mind, I'm saying you didn't want no more.
Right.
You should be a total lockdown right now.
Total lockdown.
But and just having Undina truthful conversations, because I had already dated for 7 years. I was divorced 7 years before I even met him. So I had dated enough
Right.
in those 7 years to be like, nah, I'm good. And I remember on my 40th birthday, I was like, God, I just want to say thank you. Okay, I'm good. It was just me and you. I don't even want nobody. I'm like done. I promise, whatever you tell me to do, I'm just going to do it, and I'm gonna do it full throttle, no man. Less than 30 days, my father dies, and I meet my husband.
Yep.
Look at that. Wow. Look at that. Wow.
Mhm.
And so it was like, then when we started dating, it was like, it got to the point where I was like, yo, wait. The person I was, the ministry I was with, I was like, okay, I need y'all to make surveillance on this dude in the spirit too.
Right. Right.
Now it's like he's doing too many of the right things, and I'm not trying to get caught up.
Too good to be true.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's checking off all the lists. I'm like, okay, you doing all okay? Nah, I was like, devil, you a liar. We going through all that, and I had to be truthful with myself. Like, okay, is this enough?
Right.
Is this really what I want?
Right.
I'm trying to be a pastor's wife and all that. I don't want none of that. I already know what that looks like.
Right.
You know, so let's deal with the human side.
Right. There you go.
Okay, I have a son. He has 5. Is he enough to be an example to my child?
Right.
On now.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I said that is it.
Is he enough? And not trying to be, somebody's substitute father. Because even though when my ex-husband and I divorced and he left, and he just showed up like 4 years ago.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So I wind up raising my son, do what I got to do, and didn't ask him for a penny.
Right. Okay.
I took my son, we went to family therapy.
Good.
Because these are the doors that open that cause our Black men to get incarcerated.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You as a mother can't teach your son how to be a man.
Right.
Exactly.
But I bless God for having strong men in my life during that time that helped me to navigate to be a mom.
You're talking right.
And so these are just wisdom and trust factors, because I had to let my son know your father may not be here, but you can trust family.
Right.
Right.
Even though our family is different.
That's good.
That does not mean family doesn't work.
Right.
And my son right now, he's dating a girl that I pray to get married. I love her. I even told her, I was like, look, even if y'all do break up, I'm going to still keep you. You still belong to me. You can come to the family reunions, to the party, everything. I don't care, because I love her that much. She just turned, I think, 22 or 21. My son turned 23 Tuesday.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Good.
No, December 3rd was whatever December 3rd was. He just turned 23. She's in med school. He works at HBO. He got his job that he wanted to get as a production assistant. So he moving his way up to be part of the 5% Black billionaires.
Great. Good. That's a blessing.
They both graduated from college this year. Beautiful.
Awesome.
And I'm stepping back as a mom, like, get your feet wet, little duckling.
Praise
What you got to do. And so even with their relationship happened, he calls me 2 o'clock. Oh, mom, what you doing? What did you do, sir? What did you do?
You do the man.
I did it, but I didn't do it. Okay, so what didn't you do that you did?
Accountability, yeah.
And he was like, well, yeah, I was talking to another girl, but she made it. Okay, so what are those boundaries for her that looks like? Is that something that she says, I don't really like?
Okay.
I said, but you never change who you are for nobody.
Right. Authentic. You want to be authentically yourself.
Exactly. So when you are even in this dating, in this trust factors, these are many trust factors that we have to sit and look at our own self and be like, do I even trust myself if I was alone?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm talking. Go ahead, y'all.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I could piggyback. I had to understand that in my marriage and in the marriages, it's not what you do in front of your spouse when you're with them. It's what you do when you're not with them that can really keep that trust. Because it's easy to be, and I had to learn that because, like, I forgot who said, like, I'm very friendly. Like, I'm outgoing. I talk to everybody. I speak. How you doing? What's up? And I mean, it is what, some people say I have a pastor shepherd's heart, right? But I had to use discipline, when I got married, because you can't be in everybody's face and all that. But I realized something registered. Something said, Tim, you got to understand that you're married now, right? Not that I was doing anything wrong. But
Exactly.
I thought about that. And I said, you know what? It's not what you do while you're around them. It's what you do when you're not with them.
That's right.
And I want to be a man of integrity because God is watching me.
That's right.
Be doing things, and I wanted to make sure my wife felt secure when I wasn't home. I wanted to, I want her to think. I don't want to give her no reason. Not that I'm perfect, but I wanted to be conscious of that.
Like I remember this summer, my husband's aunt passed away, right? So we at the funeral home. I'm sitting down. The woman's like, "Oh, all rubbing on him and everything." I'm sitting right there. I ain't say a word. I'm like, and she checking me out like, "Who's she?"
Okay.
You didn't even know we were together.
Well,
So then my husband's sitting there like, I don't even know who this woman is. And he's trying to keep a straight face and trying to get past that moment and, everything. And I'm sitting there, I'm like in my phone. I'm laughing and chuckling. And then he goes, oh, well, let me introduce you to my wife, honey. That girl did a 360 and was like out the door.
Wow.
And it got to the point where we laugh at stuff like that.
That's hilarious.
I've been even upgraded to first class on a plane. And we were like, I'm like, my husband, they was like, oh no, like, okay. And so we, it's like, what do you do when it becomes funny to some degree, but our trust is like, I'm not even, mine is like, bye, go ahead, sit in first class, bye. I'm gonna be sitting back here and coach anyway. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, that's all right.
And I can understand, like, with Sheila traveling world renowned for years, and her husband home, and most people in the old day would be like, well, why is he home?
See.
And why is she out working, doing whatever?
Right.
And that can cause a dissension when one, maybe she makes more than he does. Don't know. I'm just making, because I hear those too about how couples, fighting over. Listen, it's all coming home.
Yeah.
It's all to benefit us, our goals, our family. We each have different skill set. What does it matter if he has to be the primary breadwinner or not?
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
That's another issue.
I'm sorry. Because that all goes right back to the communication piece. Right. As long as people are clear and they understand these are the priorities in our life. Let's set our goals together. And let's talk about what's important to us, not what the world says, how the tradition should work, what works for us, how does our relationship grow, what are our goals together, setting those goals together, I think, and then creating your own benchmarks. I think those are ways, if you build trust in a relationship, let's say, hey, look, this is where I see us in 5 years, or this is what I would love to be able to do here. Okay, hey, look, you have strength. These are your strengths. These are my strengths. Let's see. How do we balance this out? How can we, establish a plan for us to get to this goal? I think, those are things that can help alleviate mistrust because you're building something together, starting from that. But it has to be communication. You got to talk about it and be really honest with each other, and some, I think a lot of young people or people in general, new relationships just are not forthright. They're not
Nope.
forthcoming.
They're not-
You know,
No.
being honest with each other, saying what it is that they want in a relationship.
No
Or
communication.
even if they don't know what,
Right.
what
There's
they
no
don't want.
communication anymore. This is the communication.
Right.
There's really
Yeah.
no more communication.
Yeah, no more
And it's happening in the homes now, Reverend Carpenter. It's happening in the home marriages. There's no more communication.
And all that goes into that, communication, the
Yeah.
listening, the trusting. My wife and I was counseling, we was coaching a couple, and they had trust issues, right? And he was saying, "But Tim, I love her, and I'm like, bro, like you can love a person but not trust them, but you can trust the person you love." And I said, because love and trust, it goes together. Like what's the use of loving a person but you don't trust them?
Right.
So trust is just as important. I dare to say that, because you can't leave that trust out of love. So,
But going back to what I said earlier, people married the person they didn't trust just because they did not want to get, someone else, or someone else to have them. So I'd rather, still be with you in a crazy, twisted way than to be without you at all.
I'd rather have peace.
Exactly. And then every day again, you going through his phone or going through her phone. You going through her drawers, she going through your drawers. You smelling his clothes, he's smelling yours. Like,
wow,
crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff that people go through. And if you already cussing and fussing each other out while you dating, why?
Why you continue?
Why are you? Can you? I
And
need
this is the thing I hear. Oh, well, she was holding me down when I didn't have nothing. Is that enough?
That's not wisdom.
And
at
some
all.
people get married because of the person's money or position, power. I know what I'm talking about. And you are talking right. And that is not a way. I'm telling you, because eventually you're going to experience, it's going to be a lot of fighting going on in your home. Like, how could you have peace like that in your marriage? How can you build when you know before you got married, you didn't trust them?
Yeah,
They're showing you who they are.
Yeah, in the beginning. Yeah.
We have a habit, I believe, of just that I can fix you mode.
We do.
Mm.
I've had too many failures with that.
Wow.
I can't love you enough to love yourself.
That's true.
Mhm.
That's true.
And how can you fix somebody?
I gotta write that down.
Yourself.
Say that again.
I can't love you enough to love yourself, and don't make me the center of your love where you lose yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you can lose yourself. That's good.
Yes.
That's
I'm not going to do it. I'm not that selfless.
I've done it all the time.
I'm not that selfish. Whereas I'm just everything is about centered around you and nothing. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, but because you need two whole people to come together to make a relationship work. People talk about half and half. No, you need two whole people.
You
be
do.
yourself, know who you are, and not, you should be enhancing what the other one has. It's not the end all be all. You each come and bring your parts together. You have two wholes that are coming together to make this whole new whole, So I think it's important for people to understand who they are absolutely first.
That's true.
Who they are. If they're not Christians, first of all, if they are Christians, who they are in Christ Jesus first and foremost. Because when you have that, you know who you are. You don't have to worry about who you are.
That's good.
You can bring wholeness into a relationship. If you don't have Jesus as your center, then you as an individual, as a person, you should be sure of who you are. I say this to anybody who is planning to get married. Please, please, please know yourself. Know yourself and make sure you love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, you're not going to be able to love anybody else.
Come on. That's true. That's true.
People who are they romanticize the idea of being married.
Right.
Some people just want to do it for the wedding.
That is so true.
Or they feel like they can't find anybody else. You're right.
Say this to you, because somebody just mentioned to me about prenups.
Mm.
And I was like, listen, I said, huh? And I thought that was only stuff that happened in Hollywood. And I'm like, oh no.
It happened in the church.
I just learned this.
I didn't know it happened in the church.
Ordinary people are doing this.
You know why? Because if I'm single, I've worked myself up the corporate ladder.
Yep.
I made sure that I got my first house.
Mm-hmm.
I was the first in my family to do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now the twisted part. If you and I get together and you have less than what I have, you're not taking what I built.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the crazy part of that is you still don't trust yourself enough.
True.
Right.
Nor do you trust that person in that relationship to know that this is something that you're already going in with the mindset of we're not going to be together long.
But that's it. You start off wrong, on the wrong foot right there.
You know? And when you have that, I personally, you're already chipping away at everything that you built personally.
Right.
And what the best part of you can build together with someone.
That's good.
And it's different when you already know if they're a goal setter, if they're a planner, if they're, accomplished, whatever. I don't care if you're a doctor and he's a policeman.
Right.
Still, we may be, at least we're on the same journey somewhere, going somewhere together.
Right.
Not me going here, you going there, and we trying to figure it out someplace in the middle if we meet.
Right.
So now people are trying to protect themselves financially.
Right. Yes.
And that's really what it comes down to. But if you already know that you're making more money as a woman, you're making more money than he is as a husband. I remember years ago when I was even single, my girlfriends and I had a conversation. I reference this a lot. Do you marry for love? Or do you marry for money?
Yeah.
Security.
Yeah, right. Because if you are already making 6 figures, and you know he only making 2, it's not going to work for you.
Right.
Some say money,
but at least if he's coming to the table with something offset your life,
there you go.
Then first of all, it's your household. I ain't got nothing to do with it.
Right, exactly.
And you should not take the opinions of others, especially those that have never had a successful marriage in the first place.
Exactly.
My husband and I built together.
Yeah.
He's a hard. One thing about Timothy Grimsley, he is one of the hardest working men I've ever seen. And sometimes I'm like, can you take a day off?
Girl, you don't have 2 daughters. You don't get no vacation.
I didn't marry into money, and he didn't marry into money. But I love his motivation. That's why we are where we are today with movements, business. We have our own tax business. We're thinking about opening up another one. Right. Really successful, and I thank God for him because he pushed me. I didn't have nobody I didn't grow up with successful people. You guys, I grew up very dysfunctional. I'm not ashamed to say it. I did, because you talk about a young girl living in almost 25 different foster homes. There was nobody in front of me. I had family that graduated high school. I was the first one to graduate high school, college, to purchase a home. And God just blessed me to do a lot of different things. But I had nobody that was successful. And I thought that dream was so unreachable. But I thank God because I saw that motivation in Tim. I saw that potential. All right. You guys talk about money, people marrying into money. No, it wasn't like that. Yeah. I saw that potential. And it's still going. And I thank God because he's really making me a better woman. Okay. Even I made her put up a fight. I came in a relationship lazy. I'm being very honest with y'all. I'm serious. I really, really did. Right. He was very patient though with my trust issues. I will say that. He was very patient because every day I'm like, he's going to leave me. Yup. They all left me in the past. He's going to leave me.
Right.
He's going to leave them. I'm serious. I was like, I don't recall being with someone where they didn't break my heart, whether it was my mom leaving, whether it was a foster home kicking me out. That's what I know. I'm trying to show y'all something here because it could really as you grow up and you don't get help,
Mhm.
and you try to get into a healthy relationship, no, you have to sit down.
Right.
I'm so big on that. That's probably why I keep repeating it, because I hear women saying that's not for them. Yes, it is. Therapy is for you.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Trying to-
I had to deal with all that dysfunction,
Mhm.
even with my friendships. In the beginning, Pastor, you talked about sisterhood. I did have a problem and trust issues in my sisterhood, backstabbing, jealousies, and different things like that. So it's like, y'all too. And then one day I sat down, I said, well, God, maybe it's me. You know,
Right,
no,
right.
seriously.
Right. You've been trying to second guess yourself.
In therapy,
Yeah,
I was discovered. I'm sorry. In therapy, I discovered a lot about myself. You know, I learned to love myself, Pastor Carpenter. You know what I mean? I learned to know who I am.
Right.
You were a real big giver, and people were real big takers in your life. I knew that much.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
He's helping me to
That's
really
why I stepped in and said,
calm
no,
down.
wait. That's too much to give. It has to be reciprocal. It has to be, because we could think we're walking out person because we're giving and giving. You make it a deposit, and when you go make a withdrawal, it's insufficient.
Empty, exactly.
Share that's my job, is to protect. So she understands now.
He's like, babe, you didn't give her that $300, did you? You did. Oh, babe, why you doing? I say, Tim, but she needed it.
No.
He's like, you can't. And then all of a sudden, they backstabbed me.
Yeah.
You know what? I never wanted to be a victim, though. I played victim a long time, you guys, as a little girl and growing up as a teenager. And then at some point, I think when you're constantly talking about people hurting you, I think at some point you need to see what you're giving off, though. You know what I mean? At some point, you need to see what you're giving off.
Right,
and what is it about you that you keep attracting that? So I had to come to grips and start to say no. You know, and to know that it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
You don't got to give to everybody.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm rebuilding the trust factor with friendships.
Exactly.
I'm still, I'm in that
good.
place now where I'm rebuilding that trust factor with the sisterhood, with friendships. You know, because sometimes people will hurt you to the core. I'm not going to sit and say it's not easy to get over some situations, you know, but yeah.
I'm looking at some of the comments and I'm loving it.
Okay.
You know, because it's just, you know, it's true. We have to know that our worth is worthy.
Yes.
And I remember a friend of mine saying something, I think it was last year. He said, you know what, me showing up is a gift.
Yes.
And if you don't know how valuable you are as a gift, then you will never get the worth that you're entitled to.
That's right. And they know it too. They know
and so exactly, it's like, you know, there are bloodhounds out there that just sniff you out, knowing like this is a weak individual and I can. So I'm going to manipulate this situation to the best of my ability, calling it friendship.
Yes.
And make you believe that it's friendship. And because you are a giver, like my husband, I got to be like, dude, don't do it. Like, stop. Do you see me doing it? Don't do it.
Exactly.
I'm gonna need you to reel it in and pull it back.
Bring it back.
That's good.
And after, I'm telling you, when it started with church members, in 6 months, all the church left. Why? Because I went through the church. I was like, you wrote a bad check. You need to replace that. You borrowed money from the church, said you was going to give it back, and you didn't. Honey, they were scattering.
Right.
Okay? Because we're not going to build God's house, first of all, like that. And then you're not going to take advantage.
Right.
You're a liar and a thief.
Amen.
The truth ain't in you.
I know.
Let's tell the truth.
Right.
And there's been times, you know, that's why I hate that word borrow. No, you ain't borrowing nothing.
Good.
I didn't ask you to come get it, and I didn't have to call you to tell you that you need to give it back.
Good. That's
Come
right.
on. That's just straight up. That's being honest.
That's it.
You know, and so when when people start talking about dating, it starts, first of all, growing up. You know, you didn't trust that friend that stole your little truck.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, your mother said, well, don't say nothing. It's okay. Now I'm going to get my truck.
I'm going to get my truck down the street.
You know, and you have the nerve to be riding my truck down our block.
And waiting at you, having a good time.
I want my truck.
I want my truck back.
So it's like when we are considering ourselves, I mean, even for women, it's like we have the heart of God in us.
Right. Yeah.
And we are nurturers.
Yep.
And I want every woman, first of all, let me say that, to get to the point where you know that is the one, like the most valuable things that you get, because you are reproducing and replenishing the earth, even as a woman, as a mother. And for those women that never are not able to physically birth children, your worth is still enough to give to someone that was a Tamara who lived in 25 foster homes, that you can still give them wisdom, guidance, and understanding to becoming that woman that you want them to be.
Yes.
And until we start really dealing with the core of our being and who we are naturally and blended with the spirit realm, we're still going to be a lost people.
That's right.
And then we can't complain about the things that's going on in the world, the things that's going on in culture, this and that, because now the church has almost become the same as the world.
It's true. Yeah, reflected. Yeah. They have more influence on us than we do them. And the word of God tells us, be ye not conformed to, we have to be so strong in God to where they want to say, you know what, I want to be like the carpenters. Like we shouldn't be like we want to emulate them, and that's key, Pastor. That's powerful.
And so my thing is, like, where did we disconnect to say the wrong was right and the right is wrong?
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, you give it up the right for the wrong. Like
And it's even worse now during this pandemic. I was showing my husband, I was like in intercession mode this morning, and I was just crying out because I saw a lot of stuff on social media. I was like crying out for the people. I said, God, your people. I mean, like the saints are depressed. Yeah. They are doing things that they thought they never would do. I said, what's happening? Yeah. And I know a lot of them are saying, oh, I miss church. I want to be back in church. And I said, but Tim, at some point, we have to get strength on our own. Yeah. If all the churches shut down, we still got to be holy.
Right, regardless.
Like they're losing it. It's like something that's making them antsy and feeling like you said, calling wrong right and right wrong. Mm-hmm. I seen some stuff today and I'm like, it blew my mind. And I just started crying out. Right. I said, God, keep us. Keep us. I know the people, their souls are hungry. I said, what is going on? The ones you least expect.
Right.
The ones you least expect. So y'all went on that topic. I wasn't going to talk about it. Y'all did that. Sorry.
Right. I want to get to where said too about being 50-50. I really want her to get really more in that, because the world says, oh, you bring 50%, I bring 50%. That still necessarily don't make a whole when you still half of that 50 is broken in the 25 pieces.
That's
50%. You still ain't reaching 100.
Exactly.
I'm so happy you didn't bring that up to me, 50-50. I like,
Say that again, Sheila. I can't hear you.
I said, that's why it's so important for us. Can you hear me?
Vaguely.
Sorry. Break it up like when you talk.
And why it's important for us to make sure that we are coming into the situation as a whole person. We have to be whole, not just partial. We need to have our own self look into who you are. I really encourage folks to get counseling, please. Just like you were saying, get counseling. Oh my gosh, there's no shame in that game. Get that counseling. Tamara, I want to tell you your testimony.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Oh, this is not. Is it any better?
Now we can hear a little closer. Yes.
Is that any better?
A little bit.
Okay, sorry about that. But what I was going to say is, Tamara, our sister Tamara, I want you to know that your testimony, it not only answered your husband's question, back to what we were talking about, how you were drawn to him or how he was drawn to you, but also hearing your testimony makes it really clear how you and why you, if you ever had any situation with or doubts about trust, with that kind of a background, you can certainly understand that. You know what I mean? But thank God, Brother Tim was your rock. He was the one who knew how to meet that need, and he came in right on time. I'm telling you, your testimony really, really blessed me. And
Amen.
hearing that and knowing how God, to look at you and to hear you, to know, I feel like I know you already. And
I
to
know. I feel
that
like I know you
Yeah.
too.
I'm blessing God for where He has brought you from, because that testimony right there, I
Mhm.
know it's going to bring even more people to know Jesus and to really bring them into the fold and heal people. You
Yes.
know, let them know that there's no road that's too rough that He
Yeah.
can't bring you out, of. So that really blessed me.
Amen.
Wow.
Amen.
Thank you, sister.
Now I'm gonna get into some adult conversation.
Yeah, right?
God-
Yeah.
Thank you, Pastor. God bless you.
Okay.
Tim is the one that called the counselor because we had a disagreement.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was stalling, and he said, "Listen, I
Yes.
found you a doctor,
That's right.
and this is your appointment
We-
time."
we
I was like,
going.
"Who do you think you are?"
That's
Like,
right.
I'm not ready. But yes, he found me the doctor.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you, God, I love you. Like,
I love you too.
this man really is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we grown folk, right? Right. Mhm.
Go for it.
Oh,
Tamara, specifically on this particular, well, not specifically, but because your scenario and situation, your trust in your own sexuality, having had been in foster care for so long, how do you relate to men growing up?
well, I told you I'm not afraid to keep it real, right?
Right.
When you asked me to do this, because I've shared my testimony a lot. God put me in situations where I have to share it with a lot of young girls. And a lot of times when women go through situations, I try to get to the root of their problem, see where it came from. But unfortunately, I hope I don't get emotional.
It's
But
okay. We got tissue. I'm sure Tim got tissue.
I don't want to get emotional right now. But I, as a little girl, definitely, I used to think that I had a sign on my forehead that said, molest me.
Mm.
Every home I can remember, there was always somebody there, whether it was a woman or a man, the uncle next door, foster brother, saw me as one to touch. I'm not understanding that. Even as me being saved today, I still don't think I understand it, but I'm just in a place where I just trust God. God took me through that journey for whatever reason. I know it's to help other people, but it happened so often that as I grew up, that's what I desired. You know, they planted those seeds in me. My grandmama was an alcoholic in foster care. My mama was an alcoholic drug addict in foster care. We were in foster care, but thanks be to God, drugs didn't hit my sisters and I, right? You know, but unfortunately, I grew up not with real successful relationships with men. It was abusive as well. I was abused in foster care. So that's what it seemed like, that's what I was attracting,
Right.
even as a teenager, you know, dating guys. It was always abuse, like hit me, like, and I just didn't understand a lot of things. So I was very argumentative, fear of abandonment, because every time I turn around, the DIFUS would show up at my school with my bags in the car. I didn't even get a chance to go back to the foster home and say goodbye to the foster parents. I said, what's going on? Oh, we're taking you to another home. It was just so much foulness going on, so much abuse. Like they didn't care. No love, no communication with this nappy-haired little girl at the time. You know what I mean? So as I got older, even in my first marriage, I wasn't ready for marriage then. You know what I mean? There was abuse there and certain things took place. So it wasn't successful at all. That's what I'm saying. I had to go through a journey of healing. Even with my my late bishop, Pastor Bishop Carolyn Webb, she helped me fast. You know, I mean, I was at the altar getting purged and everything. There was so much in me. I had to fight it though. I thought that when I went to church and got saved, went down in the water, was speaking in tongues, all that was going to be behind me and I wouldn't have any struggles. I found myself having struggles. I was arguing with people in the church, ready to fight. I had a spirit of rage. And they're like, I was always in church meetings, you know, anointed.
Bishop Webb, yeah.
Can preach you under the pew, but I had problems. And I was always the one in trouble because my pastor said, God gonna use you, and she's, I'm gonna help you. Like, she would give me all the scriptures on anger and rage. And I had to go get counseling then, and I had to get it again. So sometimes to this day, I still don't understand. God had to really heal me, though, to be able to have that intimacy, Pastor, with my husband. I had to get healing in that area. And sometimes,
thank God for the healing.
yes, but sometimes I still feel like I need a little more.
Yes.
So it's a journey. It's still an ongoing process.
Yes.
I'm not gonna say I'm getting a little counseling over here and that's it. No, I'm always working on the intimacy part, the healing, the fears of abandonment. And I'm always constantly working on it. You know what I mean? Because I know that God blessed me with Timothy Grimsley. He has been nothing but a blessing in my life. And where I am today is definitely because God used my husband. So that's the answer to your question in regards to my sexuality and what transpired in those homes. I tried to put it in a nice.
You have to keep it nice.
You did
There. That's why we at the lounge.
Oh, okay.
That's why we at the lounge.
Oh, we did the lounge. We could have put a t-shirt on.
Right.
Hello, darling. Okay, he just.
It amazes. Can you hear me?
Yes, a little bit.
Me how God takes us through different journeys just to bring us to the same place. Everybody's got a story. You don't know where people have come from. I would have never been able to look at you and tell that, Tamara. But to God be the glory is what I'm going to do. God be the glory. And, I would never want you to have had that kind of a background, that kind of a history. But it's a testimony that shows God's strength, your endurance, and when you listen to the voice of God, where He will bring you out of. You know what I'm saying? So I'm blessed. God, you have blessed my heart tonight. I want you to know that.
God bless you.
God bless you, Pastor.
Listen, and I'm looking at some of these comments. I'm like, you blessing everybody right now, all of you. Because it's real. Like, again, there are issues when you have been in her, situation growing up. And I know people, like, I remember I had a friend years ago who talked about how, like, there was never a time in her life when she did live in foster care too, like, she was always the problem to the couple that she went to.
Right.
She wound up always having to be put. She was always the one that was like targeted, had to be put out because the husband was looking at her crazy.
Yes.
And so now the wife is already jealous, insecure, and it's your fault. So now you have to be put out. And it was always a cycle in this person's life that no matter where they went, till she just aged out of the system.
Wow.
She just aged out because of the fact, and in that she has never had a good, healthy, receiving relationship with people for those what we would think would be minor things, but were very traumatizing.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Because those mental things, you can either be very promiscuous.
Yes.
It can go left. Yes.
You can get caught up into pornography, and that's people start getting into all kinds of other things that you don't think that they would typically get into, but it just takes that one, one open door to make the whole life be altered.
Yeah. But it's sad when it happens to kids, though, the innocence, that's sad.
Yeah.
Because they didn't ask for that.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? And to have to grow up with that, and then when you get older, you realize you just so jacked up unless you really seek help, therapy, and so on. Because like I told you, Pastor, that's what I desire. You said they grow up promiscuous. That would, having grown men touch me as a little girl, and in the back of your mind as a little girl, it's like, you are to listen to them because they're here and you're there, right? The authority figures. But in the back of your head, that like something's off and wrong. Yeah. But it's like they played on that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Both genders. They played on that. And so as I grew up, I was realizing Because in my walk with salvation, when I first got saved, I had such a struggle. I said, God, will I ever get delivered? For real, because that's what my body craved.
Right.
I had the title and I still needed deliverance. I'm telling you, I had to seek my pastor out for some serious help. I said, I need help. And sometimes people don't know why people do what they do. But church people, they judge people so bad and they have no idea about their past or why they behave the way they do, why they do what they do, instead of seeking out to say, there's something deeper.
Something is going on.
Yeah, like Pastor.
The church still, there's areas of the church that has not been qualified enough to help people get delivered in certain areas. And that's why the church is a deliverance church, but there are just some basics that I believe that we should have. And first of all, the problem is we don't have compassion.
Right.
You know? And
Jesus is compassionate though.
That's the thing for me. My husband got the heart, he missed the bleeding heart. I'm like, nah, I ain't trying. No, you get one time and that's it.
Right.
But it just on an overall, if we stop trying to categorize the sin and what is greater than the other, then we will learn how to look through people. And then the other part is when some of us have gotten saved, you act like you ain't never done nothing.
Exactly.
You got them cotton stockings on and the doily on your head, and now you act like you came out of the womb of Mary. Like, stop it.
No.
Let's be truthful.
Yeah.
Because you was a whore, you was a drunkard, and just so happened you heard the word, you got saved. Now you miss alrighty Mike. But then some of y'all still on the low, still sleeping around, still doing things that you think nobody else is doing, abortion, and just because you think you have not gotten caught, as Brother Tim said, God is always watching.
He's watching. You're right.
God's always watching. And the Marshalls now, and I know y'all was all Jesus and everything growing up, and when you met in high school and stuff, take us through that like aha moment if you had one. Okay, I remember someone telling me that you will know that God has really sanctioned your marriage, that while you are having sexual relations with your spouse, like you will feel the presence of the Holy Spirit. Now, I don't know if that's ever happened to y'all.
All right, baby. Listen.
Come on now. Come on, Lounge. Come through, Lounge.
What happened? What happened at the lounge?
We are at the lounge, honey. Take us through your walk with intimacy and loving and all your gooey stuff.
Yeah.
Marshall.
Intimacy. All right. It's like I want to please her in like everything that I do. I want to please her. I want her to be happy. I don't want her looking at nobody else but me. And
put that six-pack on. Go ahead.
Is that I'm going to basically do whatever I have to do to make her happy. So my thing is to please her at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, we're gonna say good night.
I know that's right. I know that is right.
Honey, after tonight. Hallelujah.
Oh, you're gonna be in the lounge.
We're gonna be in the lounge.
John on me.
I'm gonna go to a different place because a lot of times, and my pastor, he teases me because he's like, "Oh, Sheila, you didn't do anything. Oh, when you were younger. Oh, yeah, we know you were a church girl. You were this, you were that, you were this." God, and listen, the truth. I'm. This is just my story, and I want to say this because I want to say this for people who have not had relationships before getting married. Sometimes that seems so corny now. People are like, what? I remember friends of mine, they used to say to me, you and Marshall, y'all didn't have any sex yet? Before? What? Are you kidding? You mean to tell me that you gonna marry somebody you've never slept with before?
Yep.
What is wrong with you?
Yep.
You must be out of your mind. And I was like, at one point, I remember being in high school, being ashamed and, not wanting to say, that I never had sex before. It was like, what? Because everybody was having sex. It was like, this is what you do, and when you get ready to go to college, this is what you do.
Right.
But I want to share and say to young people today, the devil is a liar. I don't care what anybody says. People can tell you, oh, look, your body is craving this. And listen,
right.
These bodies come into subjection all the time. Okay.
Yep.
If we can tell ourselves not to stop at the red light, to stop at the red light, I'm sorry, or to make a left, if we can follow those kinds of rules, you can put your body under subjection as well. The devil is a lie. Don't let the devil tell you that you have to do what the culture is doing. I remember my son going away to college. People would tell him, oh, this is when he's going to go and sow his wild oats. And this is when, so just leave him alone. Let him do. Listen, you don't have to do anything. The world will try to make you believe that you have to do these things. But no, you don't have to.
That's
and
right.
You can absolutely put your body in subjection. Now, I'm not talking about those who have had situations where adults or different ones have taken advantage of them. That's something completely different. I'm talking about when it's you, your own self, your willingness. Because I'm going to tell you now, Sister Tamara, I believe this with all my heart, that people have been in situations where they have been forced, they've been raped, and they have been, abused when they were young and when they did not have any better sense. I believe that God can make a person completely born again and will make you a virgin all over again. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
Yes, he can.
I believe it with my heart and soul. He will purge your mind. He will take the that were unclean.
The desire, the taste, the appetite. Yes, he will.
He'll make you brand new, girl. You hear what I'm saying? I believe that. And bring you to the place where you are bringing a brand new person into a relationship. So I want to say that to everybody who's ever had a situation where they've been taken advantage of. I believe that the Lord can make you brand new all over again. But I'm going to go to intimacy, and I bless God because I didn't know anything about, of course you can hear people talk about it, you can see a movie or whatever, but it's different when you're involved in it. You become one. And I bless the Lord that I had someone who I could trust, in that way, because I didn't know anything, I didn't know, other than I had big sisters, so people would tell you about it, but you don't know until you're in the situation. Right. And he could have been somebody who was abusive, but I bless God that my husband loved enough to be sensitive to who I was, where I was at that time. And I believe that relationship and his caring for me in that way has brought me to a place where I'm able to fully stand on my sexuality. And I understand that I could write a book and do a whole bunch of stuff now in the name of Jesus.
That's empowered. That's good.
Yes.
But you don't know how powerful that is. Like when I met my husband, well, my now husband, I was 40, he was over 40. Make sure he.
She's making sure he's not in the room.
We're gonna talk about that because he suffered from age. Like he's like, oh my God. Okay, and I did not even cross over the threshold of his house until we were married.
Wow, that's powerful.
That's all right.
We dated in public. We wasn't, too much. We were by ourselves, but it was, because we left one place, church, going home, and he's dropping me off at the house. We wasn't doing too much at secret date because I'm like, okay, I already know me. And in my mind, this was going to be his setup because I'm like, okay, man, he knows what he likes, whatever. And I'm going to, and because I was not believing that this was even going to continue to work, because I was like trying to get rid of him. Like I was like, again, I said, now I ain't trying to get married. This guy's sticking around too long. And I think one of my sisters is on here, and she called me after like 3-4 months of dating. She's like, he's still. I'm like, girl, I can't get rid of him. Like, what? And so while we were dating and we would go out or whatever, I'm like, Okay, he didn't kiss me for like 8 months. So now I'm like,
Uh-oh, what's wrong?
right.
You did
I'm like,
that.
I got to pull out the big guns.
Yeah, right.
Make sure. Let's make sure. But we had a conversation one night,
Communication.
and he said this: I would never do anything to you that would taint your anointing.
Wow.
That's all right.
Now, mind you, my prayer was, God, if he is willing to sin with me, he's not for me.
Right. That's good.
And that's a powerful thing, even when you are saved. I don't care how grown you are and you are dating. If you do not set your spiritual boundaries, you will fall for anything. It is okay for you to have spiritual boundaries.
Right. I
don't care how old you are.
Right.
Because Negroes will question. And so I was on this, okay, maybe if I rub up on him, maybe if I do this, let me see how far he going to take it.
Yeah.
Already here I am plotting, scheming, and scamming.
Right. You listen.
That was same with us. So
yo.
he broke my heart.
See, I'm like, all right, I got my plot, got my plan. I told my girl, yo, this is what I'm about to do, blah, blah, blah. And for some reason, it was like he had the discipline of God. Like he wasn't following none of it. I'm like, oh man, I'm like, okay, so I'm calling my friends, like, yo, what can I do? Because I done put up big, I done all this stuff. And he didn't even bite me.
Yep.
So when people talk about, they say, you know what, I want to, have a relationship like you. You don't know what I went through to open our relationship like we have it.
That's good.
That's important. Just because you are grown enough to do it doesn't mean in sanction to do.
Right.
And because we're living, like Sheila said, it's okay to live together before you get married. It's okay to shack up. You got to test it. I had a girlfriend was like, well, one day I like pork, one day I like chicken, the other day I want turkey. I need to have a variety.
Wow. Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
What's that?
Right.
Amazing.
You have this going on, and these are your circle friends.
Right.
You are being influenced by your circle friends.
Right.
And you're feeling that maybe my boundary is too stringent, it's not enough, or my standards are too high. I need to bring them down to make you feel better.
Wow.
Keep your standards.
Yeah.
That's when him and I was dating.
Yeah.
Guys, okay. I like you said, Pastor, was setting up stuff, I was very attracted to him.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, I cooked him a romantic dinner. He came over one day.
Nothing wrong with that.
You had the lingerie on with the church coat.
Oh no.
No, he wasn't getting none of that.
She had a communion suit on.
No, that was for marriage. But no, I really was.
She was looking sexy though.
He
was. Like, keep it real.
He looked so different. He looked in his eyes. He said, babe, I love you.
Yeah, man.
He said, but this is why we were dating. He was like, babe, I love you, but I'm on a journey with God. He was like, now he didn't say he didn't want to protect my anointing. Your husband said he wanted to protect your anointing. He didn't say nothing about me.
I was protecting my anointing too.
But I need y'all to understand, it did hurt my feelings. It made me feel extremely low, but it helped me to grow as well. I wouldn't dare knock him, but I wasn't used to that.
Right.
I wasn't used to that, but it helped me to kind of come up another spiritual level. Right. I was used to men desiring me.
Yeah. It's not that I didn't want to. I knew that in order for, to have different, you got to do different.
Yes.
Because I've been down that road. I was single for a long time. I was an eligible bachelor, I guess. And I was like, God, I want something different. And he was like, you got to discipline yourself. You know what I mean? Because I knew me. I knew me. So in order for me to have something different, I wanted to do something different. Yeah. And I had deal breakers.
Right.
Couples, we talk about that now, but years ago, I didn't know it. But you got to have deal breakers. You got to set those parameters.
Yeah.
You got to just trust God in the process, but also know if that's your woman, you stick around. Like, you don't want to be able to, you want to bring something different to the table. And but once we got married, it was on and popping. You know what I mean?
All right.
I remember even our marriage night, it was like, I woke up the next morning and literally there was a cross in the middle of the bed on the wall.
Who?
What?
There was a sign of a cross in the middle of the bed on the wall. And I'm like, no, like this, no.
I know that's right.
Like, I know God is punking me right now. Like,
Right. You've been punked.
right. And literally, we looked and I said, "Do you see what I see?" And he's like, "No."
Yeah,
And I pointed to it and I said, "Look," and you had to look at it like at an angle. And there was a big oil
Wow.
under the cross on over our bed, over the bed.
Wow. Why you married? She talking about why he was married.
Yeah, that was our wedding night.
That was the wedding night.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. I don't know.
That's different.
That's
I
all
was like, all right.
Okay.
I have seen the glory.
Yeah. But it is, you know, I kind of got some old school values because they used to call it courting back in the day. The woman. So that is a challenge in a lot of churches because growing up, I was apostolic holiness. Like we were strict. Yeah. You were strict. And I just my father my dad was a bishop. It was like you touch a girl, kiss a girl, she get pregnant. I'm like,
right.
Like I believe that, like literally.
Yeah.
So there was some. I'm like, well, when do we? You know, I'm not buying a car without test driving it. In my mind, I'm thinking,
right.
But you're right. You got to get into a place with God because we are natural. We do have physical wants and needs.
Yeah.
You just got to trust the process.
And I tell people, you don't. Okay, you know, if you know holding hands is going to make you want to get into sexual activity, hold hands.
Don't be alone with them.
Right. You know, you got to pick and choose. You did it in public. You know, you don't have too many that don't be calling me at midnight.
Yes.
Well, mind you, that was the best time for my husband and I to talk because number one, I had never been to your house. He had never been to mine.
Right.
You know, I was already like late night anyway. So for us to talk from midnight to 6 in the morning, it was like common.
Wow.
You know, and that's the stuff that we were doing. And then we would realize like so while his sons is like, who you talking to?
Right.
You know, one of the boys come in 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, like, and he on the phone trying to get deep with the deep low baritone and this and that. And the other.
Wow.
You know, and he like, who you talking to? Like, you don't talk to nobody.
Yeah.
You have to set your parameters. You know, you know those things are the things that cause you to sin. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
If he or she cannot respect that, then you already know where this is going.
Right.
Don't give them a seat at the table.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Period.
Yep.
They're not even worth it.
Thing now, right, is that we're like showing our children that same thing now.
Example,
it's
right.
Like now we're like beside them. It's like, listen, you don't have to do everything everybody tells you to do.
Right.
You know,
right.
Let God guide you. Be abstinent. You know, do not get into any relationships you cannot handle. You know, and just be open. You know, be open. And I told my daughter, I said, you can't date anybody until you're 21. And she's like,
now, Dad, is that really realistic?
Oh, she has it, but she turns 21 next year.
You cracking up.
No.
That was already loud. Okay.
Example. I wanted our relationship to be a example to let them know.
That's good.
Beautiful.
Like,
yeah.
How somebody should love you.
Yes.
That's
guys,
all right.
Boys, how you should love somebody. You know.
Right.
So now this is like treating. So now they know. Listen, I gotta treat my wife the way my dad treats our mom. And then with my daughter, like, listen, if they don't treat you like I treat mom, do not deal with them. She's like, what? I said, because you are precious cargo.
Absolutely.
You know, the whole thing is that now it's like, don't settle for nothing. You know, even if you are lonely And then you're like, well, nobody loves me. Wait on God.
Right.
Because God will show you the right
Yes, he
person.
will. Yes, he will.
Yes, he will.
Because your daughter is you're your first husband image that your daughter will see.
Yes.
So that's good. That's good, my
Exactly.
brother.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm just going to tag on to what he said. Our children are our greatest investment. You know what I'm saying? And first of all, not just anybody is going to come walking up into their lives. That's just, I was listening to you, Pastor, talk about, your son's friend, a girlfriend. I said, boy, I pray for that kind of a feeling. Because I'm like, Lord Jesus, I got 2 boys and 1 girl. And I want to have that kind of a feeling that, oh my gosh, this is the one.
Yes.
This is the one.
Honey,
Right.
listen.
My oldest, he just graduated from college. So we're now, he's moving. He's just got his first entry-level position. And, he's starting to feel, he's living out on his own.
Making that money.
Yeah.
And I'm praying now because, I know they're there. They are all out there.
Well, they
And
hawking
I'm
them.
like, Lord,
That was a bachelor.
give him.
Because like Ezra was like, and more on me, like he had all the girlfriend friends, he didn't date a lot or whatever. And one thing he did say, I remember him saying to me, he was like, Mommy, he was like, I don't like no girls chasing me. I want to be the chaser.
Right. Right.
Said, okay, we gonna work with that. But one thing I did teach him was, just like we teach our young girls, like your body is sacred and it's to you. I taught that to him.
That's true. That's true.
Your body is just as sacred, and if you say no, no is no.
That's exactly
Right.
Ain't no questions about that.
Right.
And so, and these young girls today, and not young girls, these women, period, these grown folk women, I look at and I'm like, I'm all about the aggression. Don't get me wrong. But you don't have to do some things that you do to get attention from a man.
Right. Right. That's
and
true.
We do the wrong thing to get the wrong attention.
Right.
And then when that attention comes, then you're surprised and shocked.
Exactly. You're like, well, I didn't deserve that.
Yep.
And when you're putting yourself out there on a display looking for a man, he's probably thinking she look good, but can I trust her later on down the road? Like you're going to continue that, and that's we putting trust in there. And men look at that, to the women out there. Men, we do look at those things, because if you're ratchet and you're looking all seductive and you're butt naked on social media, I like her, but I can't trust her.
Right.
Years down the road, she may continue to do the same thing. So I just wanted to add that in terms of trust.
But but that's true. And I don't think that they're consciously looking at that, because why? Let's look at fathers are not in the home anymore as much.
True. Yeah.
Right. There are no male role models to teach these young boys what it is to be a young man.
Right.
An honorable young man. There you don't have, the male mentoring group as much as you used to, because now everybody trying to, be something else that they're not.
Right.
This generation is like so far distant to anything that is moral. Let me say that. And they don't understand. So with the Carpenters having a daughter, and I was thinking when Marshall was saying this, he may have to be that dad to that guy that wants to date his daughter.
True.
Right.
Because he probably didn't have it. That's good.
Exactly. So he may wind up having to teach him how to be the husband to his daughter for that point and purpose. Those are all teaching lessons. And he has the young man may be good, but he just may be unknowledgeable.
Right.
And but if he's teachable, he'll turn out to be something powerful.
Awesome.
And so, we have to get to the point where we get them to listen and yet teach them how powerful they are. And you putting your hands on any woman is just completely wrong and off limits. And some I'm watching and seeing that they feel that is, my husband, we have a situation right now with someone that he's counseling or whatever. And this girl just so happened to be that kind. She called the cops and had him locked up.
I know that's right.
You're not going to put your hands on me.
Not at all.
That's right.
And now this is his first offense. What we going to do after this? How are we going to help them to not do that? And I don't care what you've seen and you've seen in your home, and that's fine. Whoever you learned that behavior from. No, man, that's not even cool. Like that's unacceptable behavior.
Right.
So now we have to help them change that mindset of saying that it's okay, because now it's so common.
Right.
And girls are staying in these domestic violent relationships. They feel, well, if I don't have a black eye and if I'm not bleeding, it's okay. No, it's not.
They don't love
No abuse
themselves.
is unacceptable.
Right. But then yet the voice of the church is silent
on
these issues.
Right.
But we should be the ones, first of all, speaking up.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, we failed. The church in general has failed in certain areas, when it comes to issues like that, because we don't want to talk about it. Like, we get uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't literally coming from the Bible. We get uncomfortable. And like you said, Pastor, there's a lot of people that's in church leadership that's not qualified. And they're afraid to say that. So instead of using a source and say, you know what, I know the right community center that can help you. Mm-hmm. Instead of telling them that, you're not really addressing the issues. And you got wounded warriors in church that shout over it, right? Sing and praise dance over it. Or lay hands, and they need help.
Run around 3 times.
So the church should be held accountable. All of us in general. And that's why I thank God me and my wife, what we do is outside the church. I mean, don't get me wrong, ministry is the underlying theme. I said always, but we don't need a pulpit.
Right.
Because everybody may not come literally to the church.
Right.
Bring the word of God, the love of God, the principles of relationships to them, and they will be able to receive it.
And that's true. But we still have to learn how to meet people where they are. And because you may have been in a domestic violence situation and I may have not, that does not mean that you can't learn what wisdom I may have to share with you, because I am coming from a different lens, right? Different perspective to get you, because my question is going to be, what is keeping you here that you feel that you have to stay?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there's no other way out for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I take real serious heart to it, because there have been women that have legitimately died from these types of domestic situations.
Wow. Yes. Wow.
Period. And for you to falsify it or try to make a promotional spin because you're the great preacher and you feel that you could just say and do whatever. There are women that have died at the hands of children that have died at the hands of abuse. And to make light of it, I discuss. This disgusting period.
That's
so we have to, I remember I was maybe 13 and I was at church. There was one of the women there, I'll never forget it. And her husband was beating her at home. One of the mothers of the church asked her, said, well, babe, why didn't you come to church? She said, well, sometimes he won't let me come. And so she said, well, what's the problem? And at that time, that Sunday, I knew she had a black eye because she was very fair skinned. And you could tell she tried to put makeup on to cover it up. And so she said, well, look at this. And she had the glasses on. And so the mother of the church told her, well, and it shocked me so, well, baby, is he paying the bills?
Wow. Wow.
And so, yeah, she was like, well, then you stay.
Wow.
Yeah. And she had a son at home. And I'm saying in my mind, now, first of all, I was caught between a rock and a hard place because I shouldn't have heard the conversation, but I didn't want to walk by it either. So I came behind the door and I'm listening, not expecting. So I came home and I asked my grandfather, I'm like, listen, like, this is what I heard at church. This is what, because, my grandfather was head deacon and all this stuff. And he said, he broke it down to me because we were close, and he always gave me that male perspective. As wrong as it may be, he was like, and I'm not pretty much in my words saying that this is right what she did, but at the same token, is she going to leave?
Yeah, at the end of the day, right. She gonna leave or what?
And she stayed.
Wow. Wow.
No matter what, it was like, I don't know if we can ever say enough, because if your heart or mind is so, she had a mother where it was like, well, what is it going to look like? And come on.
Right.
You tell me that it's better for her to stay and possibly die at the hands of this man, because all it would take is one good hit or punch. God forbid she hit her head on the coffee table or whatever. You don't have a child anymore.
Yeah.
For you to try to find a step out solution to get her out safely.
Wow.
And so we are living in a time, and then you got to look at, we've had generations of pastors' wives that stayed.
Yeah.
We have generations of women in the church that just stayed because that's what they were told they had to do. So now we can fast forward to other generations where it's like, no, well, I'm not staying. I'm speaking out loud.
I'm out.
Decide.
Yeah.
You told me to be quiet.
Yeah.
They want to try to excommunicate you from the fold.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're having to go home to live in these situations. And it's negligent of the church to be ignorant concerning these things.
Wow.
The unfortunate thing about that is there then lies the mistrust of the church. You know, because if the church is not being responsible to tell the truth and to get her out of that situation, help her to get out of that situation, or help get him some counseling, you know, so help fix the situation. The church is definitely, you know, the leading, or at least partially, the cause of any mistrust that would come out of that relationship. You know, because you should be able to rely on the body of Christ to tell you the truth, to provide a place of safety.
Right.
No one should be in an abusive situation and stay
Not at all.
there and think that that's okay.
That's right.
And so now when you don't want to trust the people in the church anymore because you don't know who you can go to. You know, you got to watch your back and watch your alliances.
Wow.
I went for prayer one time, and one of the elders, they called the prayer line. You got the elders lined up, and previous marriage, can't really go in deep into it, but I went up. I dealt with some type of abuse. I'll leave it at that. And I went up for prayer, and the elder said in my ear, after she prayed for me, she said, God told, she was trying to act like it was God. She said, you are going to miss your blessing. Now, any word she says, I really take heed. Like, this is an anointed woman of God. God bless her. She's gone on to glory, but she said,
maybe, no.
You're going to miss your blessing. You better not leave that man. Girl, what's wrong with you? In my ear during prayer. And when she said that, I got so afraid. I stayed married for so long. I mean, we were separated, but I stayed married. I was so scared to get a divorce, you guys. No, I'm serious, because when the church says something, it's like, I better listen, I better do it. I was so afraid. And I'm like, but y'all don't know what I'm going through at home. Right. Yeah, so, and there's so many women suffering right now because they are afraid in the church. They're afraid to get divorced. They're afraid to leave. Well, we don't believe in that. You know, my religion, we don't believe in that, you know.
Yeah.
I believe that God does not want you to be harmed.
Yes.
And I will stand on that. And I will tell every woman that I speak to that is being abused, it is not the Lord's will that you be harmed. The devil, this is not the will of the Lord for your life. The devil is a liar. Run. And then it's the church's job to get resources. Call the 1-800 hotline. All right, it's good to pray, yes. Lay hands, all of that. But we need resources. That's ministry right there, too. Meeting the needs. Somebody put ministry is meeting needs. Right. That's part of meeting the needs. Your drug addict, with the resources. Let's get some rehab. Call rehabs. It's more than prayer and shouting over it, because that's how I thought I was going to be delivered from desiring sexual needs. And I'm being honest, I was shouting over it. You know, it just wouldn't work. You have to get therapy. You need help.
Girl, listen.
I'm telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know.
Listen, I remember I'd be finished doing praise and worship after church is over, and I was dating the pastor for like 12 years. Okay, so after we left church, after all the glory,
yes, yes,
we wound up wherever we wound up at.
Yeah.
So you know, and then even when I moved out of state, he was coming to where I was on the weekends. You know, yeah, and then we'll still preach on Sunday morning.
But that grieved me when I had that lifestyle, Pastor. I'm gonna be honest, it grieved me because I had such a strong desire to be like God, to be holy. That was always my prayer. No matter what lifestyle I had, I always kept a repentive spirit. And I would tell my pastor, nope, not today. I'm not directing that choir. Now, don't ask me to do
Right.
it because I'm not right, pastor. And she always loved me for that. And she said, God is going to bless you, you know. And it grieved my spirit when I would go out. I would preach a sermon and go out and do
There we go.
crazy
Okay.
things. You know what I mean? But there was a point in my life, though, that God is able to take you. The pastor said it. Because before I met Tim, I mean, before we started dating and all that, before he told me he was interested in me, I had already said, God, I'm done. God took those desires away.
Mm.
The enemy is out there telling anyone that's going to see this video that you can be delivered.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the
That's
devil
a
is a liar. God can make you like a virgin all over again. You know, I didn't have marriage on my mind. I didn't have a man on my mind until Tim came. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when I'm like, okay, I want to get married or whatever.
Change that thing.
But he can take those desires away. But that's if you want to be kept. That's if you want to be delivered. You want to be healed. You want to be set free from those, because that's bondage right there, though.
Yeah.
Especially if you know better. This is not for everybody, but that's for those that know better. Like I said, I was a preacher, fornicating, guys. You understand what I'm saying?
We was fornicating, adulterers, doing it all.
Yeah.
And this is why I say the things I say now, because we still have this going on today.
Yes.
We still got these people that we having them come and preach at our churches, laying hands on our people, and you feel
Right.
Pastor, yes.
Toxic. That's toxic. That's
But
toxic.
as the leader, you have this person come to lay hands, and then you want to know why after they leave, your members is even more crazy than they were before they came.
Spirits are leaving. The spirits are
Transparent.
Yes.
the
But this has been
spirits.
going on for a long time, Pastor. That's why bishops and pastors are being exposed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
we haven't seen
And the
anything.
next thing is going to be, they're going to remember years ago when preachers was dropping dead in the pulpit.
Yeah.
I believe that will be another. It will happen again.
I think the carpenters they don't know that the camera's on, but we hear them.
No.
We can see you guys.
It's free.
Yeah.
So I do believe that's the next move. Like, it's going to happen, because you cannot keep falsifying God in God's house.
We can't.
Yeah. So long, he's going to remove the covers.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like I made this analogy before about, when you go to a wedding and you see a bride in all her white and she's looking gorgeous, what does it look like if she had black mud on her?
Right.
And so God is looking for a church without spot or wrinkle.
Or wrinkle. Get the wrinkles out.
And we got all kinds of filthy dirt
Yeah.
on us.
Yes.
And our hands are not clean.
Not clean.
Yes.
That's true.
And it should. And so the exposure is happening.
Turn that one off.
Right.
Hold on.
The exposure is happening.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
And then we have to also know.
Uh-oh.
He's trying to get his camera together.
Yeah, we lost sound somehow.
We lost sound on the iPad, so we moved to the computer.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, I'm glad you're back, though. But yes, Pastor. But at some point, though, if you're in God, this is my thing, Pastor, your desires should start to change, though.
Nope.
Like,
Sound again.
if I said this yesterday, nothing can change in you if the word is not in you.
Come
And
on.
we may go to the church building,
Yep.
but is the word in you, because the word is transforming.
Yes,
Yes,
it
sir.
is.
If you believe that, then God is going to do it, whether it's overnight or whether it's a journey of time.
Yeah.
You never leave from the ark of safety, because
Yeah.
you'll be uncovered. And
Yeah.
we're living in a point where either we don't believe the word, and then partly we not reading the word.
Right.
So the word can't change us because we're not ingesting it.
Yeah. And you got to make sure you don't get comfortable in sin.
Right.
Some people say, "Oh, I made a mistake."
Child, please.
But we don't make sure you don't don't get comfortable.
Yeah.
Don't lose your conviction.
Yeah.
You don't want to live a lifestyle that's your lifestyle.
Yeah.
I wake up doing it.
You're already living that lifestyle.
That's not a
Yeah.
mistake.
That's dangerous.
That is dangerous. When you lose the desire to want to repent and you lose that conviction, oh my Lord. You don't want to get to that place.
You can't get to a point where you're comfortable with it.
How
Now,
we
if
start talking
you have
about
a struggle and you're dealing with something and you land before the Lord, that's one thing.
Because there's difference between a struggle and a habit.
Right, exactly. But when you're practicing it, it's almost like I'm at basketball practice and I'm practicing my free throws.
Yeah.
Like I'm consciously doing it. I'm good. And you just continue to do it. But when you struggle with something, there's a fight. There's a spirit. He's chasing you. Like and you're like,
I don't
no.
want to do it. It's calling me. I don't want to do
Right.
it.
There's a
When
struggle.
I
There's
would
a
do
tussle.
good, evil is ever present.
Right.
Yes.
And that right there, a broken heart and a contract spirit,
Yes, my
is
Lord.
not going to turn you away. But when you're comfortable with it and you chilling, God, like, wait,
Thank you, Lord.
you one step from reprobate mind.
Mhm.
And that's a dangerous point to get to. I don't ever, like my wife said, we always want to be in a repentant state because none of us are perfect. But God forbid we ever get comfortable with what we're doing.
And we got to live as if Jesus is going to come in our next breath.
Exactly.
Right.
I
Exactly.
said that yesterday. I'm like, listen,
Oh, I feel him.
I aim to live as if Jesus is going to come in my next breath. You don't have time to ask for forgiveness.
All right, get it right now.
Let me figure it out. You don't have time to, I'm going to do it later and get it together. If folks didn't teach us nothing,
No, there's an
Mhm.
old
it should have taught us, you never know what's going to happen.
There's the old school
Yeah.
song. Don't let him catch you with your work undone.
Yes,
That's
yes,
right.
yes.
That work can mean multiple things.
Yeah.
Asking somebody for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because you can't get to heaven with unforgiveness in your heart,
Oh,
I don't care who you are, right? And working on that thing that God is not pleased with, because
Yes.
God is going to work it out for you. But
Yes.
yeah, I don't want to miss the rapture. Like
Me either.
I'll be mad. I'm telling you, I'm done. I'm not doing all this
I know.
to miss the rapture.
We talk
If
about
I want to go to hell, I might as well go in style.
Right.
That's right.
no, I'm going to hell.
I'm just saying, but my heart's
Go for something big. Don't go for nothing stupid. Like, that's
Right.
what you're doing petty crime. Like, if you gonna go for doing something big where you gonna live large. Don't go for stealing cigarettes.
That's
Oh,
right.
I'm not going to hell.
Yeah.
I'm not. I can't.
And that's why every day your prayer should be, God, if I did anything today, or God, if I wasn't pleased, like keep that in the forefront of your mind and heart.
Yes.
He's like, okay, I can work with Tim. I can work with Pastor. I can work with Marshall.
That's
But
right.
when you just going day by day, nonchalant, and just moseying on like I'm good. God is like, you got to turn. That's what repent means. You got to pivot. Listen, I messed up. I'm sorry, babe. Right? And that's one thing I had an issue with in my marriage is apologizing to my wife.
He holds on.
I'm like, I'm good. You know how men, I don't know how it went there.
Yeah, my husband too.
You know what, babe, I'm sorry. Not that I was prideful, but she was right. I was wrong.
No,
it didn't
babe.
make me less of a man.
You were
Mhm.
She said, yeah, you were
No,
right.
I'm saying it was more the ego.
Yeah.
Now, men, it wasn't pride. We can talk about it was more of an ego. I was edging God out, right? And every man got an ego. I was like, I want her to be right because we're driving and I don't know where I'm going.
Right.
You put the Google map. I hate that Google map.
Mhm.
Where I'm going.
I'm like,
And she like, no, make a left. No, I got this. Come to find out she was right. I was like, you know
I'm
what?
always
I'm
right.
sorry, you right.
us women are always right.
So
Yes,
the
ma'am.
ego,
Yes,
the ego kid, Mark, you probably can relate too, bro.
Is
But
he
I-
one of those who you don't like to look at the instructions, right? You don't like to look at the instructions.
Figure it out.
I don't.
You just
I
know
don't.
how to do
I
it.
don't.
right?
I don't.
Right.
Now, 9 times out of 10, I can do it.
Okay.
But it's that one time
One time.
where it'll be, I told you you should have used the
Yes.
directions. I told you that. It's
Waze.
that one screw. It's
I'm in the car and I'm like, okay, I got my Waze on. He using Google Maps. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
So
okay.
how come Eve wasn't thinking like that?
He
before
always
she ate
talking
the apple?
about
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
who said he does not?
Going to Eve now. Going to Eve.
Now you about to get on another topic here.
Right.
Who was that in the Garden of Eden? Like, come on.
Hmm. Tune into the next episode.
Yes.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, always thinking of food.
Listen, I love you guys, and I thank you so much for being a part of this. I had enjoyed
was
and
so
I
good.
love
Oh, this is
everything
really
that
good.
you had. Listen, 100 Black Marriages movement.
Yeah.
We about to do it. We have to do it. So I
Yes.
do have some married and some single folk that are on here. I want you as couples, give us that thing that singles need to look for and look forward to when they find their mate? That's
Okay.
what we're gonna close.
I would say this right quick. I mentioned it earlier. I think it's imperative that it's okay to have deal breakers. When you in single mode and you're dating someone and you're asking God, like they said, communicate. You know, things that some boundaries. You know, don't just go for any and everything. Don't settle, right? But we gotta have deal breakers. You know, how many kids do you want? Will you see yourself 5 years from now? It's very imperative that we communicate those things. When you're single, trust in God, wait on God. I know that sounds redundant, but I promise you,
That's real talk.
True.
payday will pay off after a while.
Oh, yes.
Payday is
Yeah.
coming. So in today's time, in spite of what culture is saying, VH1, love and hip hop, no, you don't
Come
have
on
to
now,
go that way.
brother.
I'm serious.
I
So
know that's right.
Right
they
on TV.
because they are influencing our brothers and sisters in Christ.
Yes.
They're looking at that TV and they think that is the model. But
Right.
God has a perfect model.
Yeah.
God knows what he's
Some
doing.
models right here.
God knows what he's doing. God
Yes. Yes.
institute marriage, and marriage is alive and well. In spite of what statistics say, marriage is alive and well. And I'm just glad my wife and I, heart and soul, we playing a part. We champion for that.
Yeah.
Marriage is alive and well. It's worth it because that's the unit that God created from day one, not the church. That's another topic, though.
Right.
Right.
Those that are single, continue to seek God.
Yeah.
Those that want to be married,
Yeah.
like link up with someone that can help you, you know, and get premarital counseling. That's important too.
Mhm.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say as well, premarital counseling.
Yes.
Like we talked about that earlier. Those that are listening, don't think that you can try to change him, ladies. I'm telling you now, or men, don't think you can try to change her. If you know after watching this video,
Yes.
you need some help, it's okay to seek therapy. Okay,
Yes.
make sure you get that premarital counseling.
Absolutely.
All right. And my husband said everything else, but marriage is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
It's a beautiful
It
thing.
really is. I was just going to say, I think it's really important for folks who are looking to find someone. And a girlfriend of mine said this to me, a single girlfriend of mine. She was like, Sheila, you know, back in the day, you know, married couples used to provide a safe space to bring their single friends together. You know, she said, you guys are not doing your job. She's like, after you found somebody, you're supposed to be bringing together single friends and looking at. And you know what? I didn't forget that because I said, you know, you're right. She's like, you know, I think married people are getting to be so selfish. They don't think about their single people.
We should do that.
I was just gonna tell you, Pastor, because you put us all together here. So I'm gonna say, let the Lord speak to you. Maybe what we need to do is next time bring a couple of single friends along with us and have a nice little conversation. What you think about that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Nice
I like it. My
A
husband
little mixer. We need to have married couples and some single couples, and we all get together and
That's
just
what I was
do a
about.
little mixer there. What you think
Yes.
about that?
I love it. I'm all for it. I'm full
All
throttle
right,
in.
then. All right, good.
And to the married couples that are listening, I would encourage you to continue to date your spouse.
Right.
Right. And that's what me and my wife do. We still date each other.
Yeah.
So even when you find yourself just go out on a date, like the brothers, like you remember you first met her and you were just blown away. Continue that spark. And I wanted to add that early because there's a lot of marriages that are just still married, but they're
Yeah,
not.
it's hemorrhaging.
Y'all still
They're not
date?
growing.
30 years, 10, 11 years? Y'all
It
still
is.
Yeah, man.
Oh my
We all-
goodness.
we trying to figure it all out.
Right.
I was gonna say, pandemic for us has really. I mean, I've never been home this much.
Right.
In
Exactly.
the 30 years we've been married, just the truth. You know, this is a brand new deal.
Right. Right.
I am so excited about it. I'm like, this has to continue. You know, we have literally been home for 11 or 10, 11 months. It's like, oh my gosh, we're usually gone all the time, you know, all the time. And our children usually in tow or, you know, in college or whatever. This has been I mean, it's fantastic. It sounds crazy. There's a
No,
pandemic, but
like 2 days ago, my husband like, you know, like I really like you, and I'm really trying to have a conversation with you right now. And I looked at him like, are you crazy? But because the way he said it, he was talking, and I was in my phone, right? Not really paying attention because he was in his phone. And so he just starts talking. So I'm like, okay, I'm so used to him just starting, whether he's talking to himself or, you know, are you having a conversation, sir? Are you talking to me? You know, you don't mention no names. You saying. So he says, he's like, I really like you. He was like, and I know that you're about to be Dr. Andina, and I'm really trying to have a conversation with you, and you just totally ignoring me right now. Excuse me, sir. I apologize. You know, we laughed about it, and then I heard you think about it. I'm like the next day, I'm just, you know, going to my mind thought, like, did he just say he liked me? He just want to have a conversation. Well, this is new. So now I got to figure out, what does this new look like?
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
What's this new?
All right.
When you in your 50s, you start changing.
There you go.
That's
And
right.
I'll be 51 in 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, if this is what I got to look forward to, okay.
There you go. There
I'm
you
good
go.
with it.
Yeah, that's
But I love you all, and I thank you. What I'm gonna do,
Thank
we'll
you.
all
Thank
hook
you
up and
so
link
much.
up and get everybody's informations and stuff like that.
Okay.
And thank all of you for tuning in. We do have a dating show coming up.
oh
Yes, we do.
good. There you go.
Good.
There you go.
All
Because,
right.
honey, some of these singles reached out to me and they was like, look, ain't no men in the church, period.
Mm,
I don't want them tight pants and high waters. I was
that's
like,
what they're saying. That's what they tell me.
Uh-oh.
That's what they tell me. They're like, look, come on. Come on now.
that's too
Can I
suspect
say
for my
something?
life.
Can I say something? There are men there. They just don't want them.
Wow.
No, because the sisters are like,
That's
no,
what
I
he
don't
says
want
Some.
it. Yeah.
Some.
Yes. So I'm like, we gonna do this, and I'm gonna give y'all the date,
Okay.
and we gonna get all the singles on and let them talk about why, and give them this platform. Because, honey, some of them, they like, yes, I'm ready, but I can't find nobody. There's some that are active, doing their thing in the community, in their workforce, in their church, and this and that. You know. So what's going on?
What's up?
What's the delay? So I want to again thank you all. I love you from the bottom of my heart. This is so awesome. Listen, tune on in, and everybody else. I want to say thank you all for watching. And you know, hey, reach out. Let's build this thing. I'm telling you,
Awesome.
marriage movement.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for
for
having us.
having us.
Pastor, was this taped? Can I then post
Honey?
it on? Okay.
It is on Facebook. I did Facebook Live.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes. So I'll share it again.
Great.
I'll tag it on your page and stuff.
Thank
But
you.
I'm trying to work out this, you know, social
I
media.
understand.
Yeah, trying to get used to it.
Yes.
I used to do it in the studio, so we would always tape in the studio. Now
Right,
that we're doing virtual, I'm like,
Thank you, Pastor. I really enjoyed you guys, the Carpenters. I'm so glad we met you
Yeah.
guys.
Very
Enjoyed
nice
you
to
guys too.
Definitely
Nice
see
meeting
you
you.
again.
Mhm.
Yeah, this was wonderful.
Real good.
Thank you so.
Thank
This
you
was
for having
fun.
us. Yeah,
Fun.
it was
Thank you
fun.
so much.
you know, marriage retreat
All right.
in 2022.
30
Right.
There you go.
Right.
call on y'all, ask y'all some questions.
There you
30
go.
years is a long time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
30 real good years.
They're happy.
Too.
They're happy.
Honey,
Yeah,
somebody said they want
that's
a little man. Yes, they do. You know, but
Yes,
I got to say, some of these women need to learn how to cook too.
Come
Oh,
on.
I didn't learn how to cook until I had my son, but it was like I figured it out.
All
was,
right. There you go. You got to eat, right?
how do you?
And you don't want to keep eating outside. You don't want that outside
But,
stuff.
you know, I'm the one. This is me. Like when I met my second husband, I had been single. I had a housekeeper, all that stuff because I am not domestic. Don't give me no domestication, nothing. Word, right? My husband like, are you crazy? Like we could be saving that money, and he's a very good cleaner. Okay, bruh, do it.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
It's about solving the problem. I don't come home asking me why I didn't sweep the floor because I'm not going to do it. I'm going to help stimulate the economy.
Right.
I'm going to pay somebody that loves to do their
There you
job
go. There you go.
and let them come and do it, and I'm good.
Yeah.
There you go.
In my mind,
Your husband.
huh?
Yeah, it's okay, and it's okay for your husband.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a perfect example for deal breakers. Like some men, they like, look, no, I want a woman to cook, but she
No.
like, but I don't want to cook.
Mhm.
It wants to go from here.
Right.
It works for you. To each his own.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we got a whole lot of conversations and topics that we're gonna be dealing with over the
Right,
next
right,
weeks and
right,
months and
right.
stuff. This will never be exhaustive. So I
No.
love you.
Love you.
Love you guys too. All right.
Good
Yay.
morning,
Have a
everybody.
good
I'll
night.
see y'all
Have a
later.
good
Bye now.
night.
Bye
Take
now.
care. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
everybody do benevolent.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
All right. Good night.